Over the last decade, the NBA has changed, and not just a little. It feels like a completely different league. When Adam Silver took over as commissioner in 2014, replacing David Stern, the NBA was already booming. The league was going global. Social media was exploding. Highlights were everywhere, and financially, it's been a gold rush. The recent $77 billion media deal proves that. On paper, the NBA has never been more successful. But here's the question no one wants to ask. Has the league actually gotten better? Because if you look past the revenue numbers, there's a different story playing out, one that longtime fans have definitely felt. Over the past 10 years, we've seen a steady shift in how the league is run, how the game is played, and how fans connect to their teams. And not all of those changes have been good. Adam Silver's leadership style is very different from David Stern's. Stern ruled with authority. Silver has taken a much more player-friendly approach, and that shift has fueled what we now call player empowerment. Now, empowering players isn't automatically a bad thing, but in the NBA's case, it's gone so far that it started to reshape the entire structure of the league. Superstars now influence roster moves. Trade demands have become normal. Player movement is constant. Teams don't feel stable anymore. And in some cases, power brokers behind the scenes, including major agencies tied to top players, have gained enormous influence. The result? Competitive balance feels fragile. Small market teams struggle to hold on to stars, and fans don't always know if their franchise is building something real or just renting talent until the next trade request drops. Then there's the product on the court. Scoring is at an all-time high. Three-point attempts are through the roof. Defenses can barely breathe on offensive players without a whistle. Hand checking is gone. Physicality is discouraged. Every possession feels like a race to launch another three. Sure, the highlights are flashy, but for a lot of fans, something feels missing. Where's the defensive grit? Where's the variety in play styles? Where's the balance? Can the league course correct before the core appeal of the sport drifts even further? If you really want to understand where the NBA is headed, you have to look at who's steering the ship. In every major sports league, the commissioner sets the tone. Their philosophy shapes everything, from discipline to labor relations to how much power players actually have. And when the NBA transitioned from David Stern to Adam Silver, it wasn't just a change in leadership, it was a complete shift in mindset. David Stern ran the NBA with authority. Love him or hate him, he made it clear, the league comes first. When things got messy, the malice at the palace, dress code controversies, player discipline, Stern didn't hesitate. He made tough calls, sometimes unpopular ones, but players knew where the line was. Adam Silver came in with a different philosophy, more collaborative, more player-friendly, more modern, and early on, it worked. His handling of the Donald Sterling situation was widely praised. At first, that shift felt refreshing. The league needed to evolve. Players wanted more say. The culture was changing, and Silver positioned himself as someone who would listen rather than dictate. But over time, that player-centric philosophy has sparked serious debate, because when you lean too far into collaboration, you risk weakening authority, and that's exactly what's happened. Discipline doesn't feel as firm. Star players seem to operate with more leverage than ever, and the league office doesn't always appear to be the ultimate power in the room. What started as modernization has turned into something else entirely, a gradual erosion of control. And once authority starts to slip in a professional sports league, it's not easy to get it back. But over time, that player-friendly approach turned into something else. Instead of enforcing structure, the league began accommodating stars. Instead of setting hard boundaries, it began negotiating optics, and that shift changed the power balance in the NBA. If you want to see why Adam Silver's leadership feels soft, you don't have to look very far. Just look at how certain discipline situations have played out. Take the Ja Morant situation. In March 2023, Morant was suspended 8 games after flashing a gun on Instagram Live inside a Denver area nightclub. It was a massive story. Bad optics, bad timing, bad for the league's image. Then, just a couple months later, it happened again. Another video, another gun, this time in a car. At that point, most people expected the league to act immediately and decisively. Repeat offense, national headlines, clear damage to the brand. Instead, Adam Silver announced that the league had gathered additional information, but said the punishment wouldn't be revealed until after the NBA Finals. His reasoning? He didn't want the announcement to distract from the championship series, and that's where the criticism exploded. Because in that moment, it felt like the league wasn't leading with authority, it was managing optics. The message, intentional or not, came off like this: "We'll handle it, but let's not interrupt the ratings." For a commissioner, timing matters, and delaying discipline to protect a broadcast window gave critics ammunition. It made the situation feel less like swift accountability and more like damage control. And this isn't just about players. Look at the Robert Sarver investigation. After an independent report found that the Phoenix Suns owner had engaged in years of inappropriate workplace behavior, the league handed him a 1-year suspension and a $10 million fine. That penalty sparked major backlash, including from star players. Many compared it to how quickly and decisively Donald Sterling was banned for life in 2014. To some observers, the contrast was glaring. Silver defended the decision, pointing to legal distinctions and specific findings in the report, but the optics were tough. It raised questions about how far the league is willing to go when ownership, not just players, is involved. And this is where the broader debate kicks in. Is the NBA enforcing discipline evenly, or is it navigating around controversy in a way that prioritizes stability, business interests, and broadcast value? Supporters argue Silver is measured and strategic. Critics say he's overly cautious and hesitant to flex authority when it matters most. Either way, moments like these shape perception, and in professional sports, perception can be just as powerful as policy. The NBA used to be about organizations building identities. Now, it often feels like a traveling showcase of individual brands. And that brings us to the elephant in the room: Clutch Sports. If we're talking about peak player empowerment, there's one name that always comes up: Clutch Sports. The agency, founded by Rich Paul, who's been close with LeBron James since they were teenagers, has grown into one of the most powerful forces in basketball. Over the years, Clutch has signed a huge number of high-level players, all-stars, max contract guys, franchise cornerstones. That alone isn't unusual. Big agencies exist in every sport. What makes this different is the perception of influence, especially when it comes to the Lakers. Because LeBron isn't just Clutch's biggest client, he's deeply connected to the people running it. He's publicly called many of their players family. He helped open doors early on. And naturally, when multiple players on one team share representation tied to LeBron's inner circle, people start asking questions. Now, technically speaking, NBA rules are clear. Active players can't act as agents. They can't hold equity in agencies. They can't formally represent other players. And when questions surfaced about LeBron's financial ties to Clutch, the league looked into it. The conclusion? No formal ownership, no direct violation. Case closed, at least on paper. But there's a gray area. Even if there's no official ownership, the influence is real. When your closest business allies represent key players and you're the face of a franchise, your voice carries weight. Then there's the tampering conversation. The NBA has anti-tampering rules for a reason. Teams and agents aren't supposed to publicly manipulate contracts or float trade ideas involving players they don't represent. In the past, agents and teams have been fined for much less. But when Rich Paul has gone on platforms and openly discussed hypothetical trades involving players connected to the Lakers, even outlining financial logic behind the moves, the league hasn't stepped in publicly. No fine, no formal reprimand, and that silence fuels the narrative. It feels like there are two versions of the rule book, one for most of the league and another for a small circle of superstar power brokers. LeBron has never been officially found to be violating league rules, but the larger issue isn't legality, it's balance. When one agency becomes deeply intertwined with a superstar who already has massive influence, and that influence appears to shape roster moves, coaching dynamics, and media narratives, people start wondering who's really steering the ship. Is it the front office? Is it the league office? Or is it the ecosystem surrounding the superstar? That's the debate. And whether you see it as smart business or structural imbalance, there's no denying that the modern NBA operates very differently than it did 15 or 20 years ago. The power map has shifted. The question is whether the league is fully in control of that shift or simply managing around it. LeBron James is one of the greatest players ever. That's not debatable. But his connection to Clutch Sports, run by Rich Paul, has created a level of influence we've never really seen before. Because even if there's no technical violation, the optics are damaging. And once fans believe the structure isn't consistent, trust starts to erode. The game itself doesn't feel the same. There's another shift happening, and it might be the most dangerous one long term. Fans are following players more than teams. Younger fans move with their favorite star. If that player leaves, they leave too. That's a massive cultural change. Historically, teams were civic identity. You were a Knicks fan, a Lakers fan, a Bulls fan, no matter who was on the roster. Now, the jersey is sometimes just temporary branding. And here's the irony. The most resilient fan bases, like the New York Knicks, are the ones built on pure franchise loyalty. Even through years of losing, the arena stayed packed. That's institutional strength. But the league's marketing machine pushes star power above everything else. Despite the massive TV deal, domestic viewership has fluctuated and faced criticism. Fans tune in for marquee matchups, and stars are resting. They tune in for rivalry intensity and get three-point shoot-arounds. Silver has pushed back against the idea that style of play impacts ratings. Fans don't just want highlights, they want tension, physical stakes, defensive battles, meaningful regular season games. Then there's sports betting. The NBA has fully embraced gambling partnerships. Odds are everywhere. Parlays are part of broadcast, and when gambling becomes deeply embedded in the league ecosystem, integrity becomes even more critical. Any investigation, any allegation, any scandal involving betting hits harder now than it ever would have before. Because once fans question whether outcomes are pure competition, that's existential. Sports rely on trust. So what's the real issue? This isn't about hating Adam Silver. Financially, the league is thriving, but structurally, culturally, there are cracks. Executive authority feels weaker. Superstar leverage feels unchecked. Defense feels legislated out of existence. Team loyalty feels secondary. The regular season feels diluted. The NBA isn't dying, but it doesn't feel grounded the way it used to. And when longtime fans say the league just doesn't hit the same, that sentiment shouldn't be brushed off as nostalgia. It should be examined seriously, because revenue can grow while connection declines. And if the emotional connection fades, if the sense of competitive integrity, franchise pride, and physical edge disappears, then the league risks becoming a content machine instead of a sport. That's the real concern. And whether that requires rule changes, cultural shifts, or new leadership entirely is the debate that's just beginning. Like, subscribe, share, and maybe even hype the video. Let me know in the comments if you agree that Adam Silver need to go. Thanks for watching.